All right, big surprise. We're going to talk about jigs. Somebody asked me about a jig the other day, and I always had one tied on. It's just so rare that I ever use one anymore. They just don't fit into my style of fishing. I like to fish fast. I'm a power fisherman. I want to throw spinner baits, crankbaits, big swim baits, stuff like that. I like to cover a lot of water, throw a lot of baits, show my baits to a lot of fish. Jigs is not the way to do that. It'll catch fish. I mean, when I started out throwing jigs and plastic worms, man, that's all I knew. And I caught a lot of fish. I caught my biggest bass ever on a jig. But I just, like I say, I got into power fishing and just got away from it. It just bores me. I still, I still drag one out and probe a place every now and then. But it's been, the last big fish I caught on a jig was probably 5 years ago, maybe. It weighed 9.2, 9.3, something like that. But other than that, I hadn't caught a fish on a jig in a couple of years, or a worm for that matter. I still keep both in the boat, both tied on. I just can't get into it anymore. It just bores me. But anyway, one thing about jigs is I noticed that I've got cards of old jigs that I've had for 40 years, and they used to cost like 99 cents, $1.19. Now jigs are $4, $5, $6, $7, $8. I'm like, where's the justification for that price increase? Did the price? I know companies that sell parts now they've raised their prices. I know lead is a little higher, but jigs are so easy to make. I mean, it's just, there's no point in paying that kind of money for a jig when you can make them yourself. I mean, there's a ton of places you can buy a jig head. You start out with that and you wind up with that. You can swim it, you can, whatever. I think the last big fish I caught on a white jig. That weighed 9.2, 9.3, had a little white twin tail trailer on it. But I mean, the jigs, you buy them, you can buy whatever kind of head you want. You can buy that kind of head, or you can buy that kind of head, or you can buy that kind of head. You can get a football head like that. See, these are all jigs that I made. And there's, there's nothing special. You could, with the materials, you've got old living rubber. You've got all the silicone stuff. You've got every color under the rainbow. You got all this. You got red. You got Mylar you can use. I mean, there's no limit to all kinds of greens and browns and oranges. I mean, you're only limited by your imagination. But there's really no need in getting crazy. I mean, if you just, got a black and blue, I mean, that's just a staple everywhere. A green pumpkin, a white. I used to fish a blue jig. I fished a green jig. I used to flip a white jig a lot over at Lake Wise around the boat docks and stuff. But, I mean, making a jig is it's just stupid easy. I mean, the most complicated part is making the skirt. And, you've got to have a skirt making tool. This one here is the first one I ever had. It clamps onto the desk and you have to, the thing is getting the skirt material through the collar. And I use a collar. I don't understand the big attraction about hand-tied skirts with a wire. You're probably going to lose the thing before long anyway, so why get into all that? It just drives up the cost. Just make it with a rubber collar. We're just going to make one real quick. All right, all you got, and this tool I use, you'll probably never find anywhere. I bought it about 30 years ago. It's awesome. You can't find them anymore, but it's the best skirt making tool I've ever seen. Anyway, to do it, this thing here, it closes together. You got that right there, and you can just slide the little collar on there. Then you figure out what skirt layers you want. We got a couple of strips of like green pumpkin, got a little blue flake in it. I'm going to put a couple of little strips of orange in it just for accent. This is a light watermelon flake. We'll put a tab of it in it. If I can get it out by itself without bringing 1400 with it, which I can't, so we'll deal with that later. So there's another one there. And I'm not going to make a real big thick skirt. We're just going to use this. So we got these 2 layers, that layer, and the orange. We kind of fold it over. We open up the little skirt collar, and we sometimes it's easier if you put it in. I'll take an old business card and roll it up in that so it goes through that tube easier. Or not the tube, but the skirt collar, and shove it through. Get it about where I want it. Close the layer on there. Close the tool up. Then we take a pair of scissors, cut the tabs off. Get both ends. I'm not being real particular with this. And there's a skirt. You got to kind of separate the ends sometimes where they're stuck together. All right, so now we've got that done. So we will take, we use this jig head here just for an example. And you just feed it on. And there it is. Not a bad looking little jig. Clean it up a little bit, get the skirt all straightened out, get all the pieces separated where it flows right, because this is just one sloppy fast job. But there's a jig. Now this is the hand part, the hand tied part that I have an issue with. Well, I put wire on there. Now if you just use the rubber skirt collar, it's going to deteriorate after a while. So my answer to that is I use this little black cable tie, and I put it on there and I clench it down. Never going to come off. But if you ever decide you want to change the skirt, cut the little cable tie off, pull the skirt off, put another one on. You good to go. Like I said, I don't understand. And they talk about spinnerbait stuff. I mean, who cares if the skirt's hand tied? I mean, just, you know, and I do the same thing with my spinnerbaits. I make the skirts. I use a rubber skirt collar, and I put a little 4-inch cable tie on there, and that's the end of it. And you know, if the skirt gets torn up, you know, I can put another one on, or if I want to change it, I could put another one on. But there's just no point in going to all that trouble when it makes has no earthly effect on the bait itself. It's just a waste of time. And it, you know, I guess some people use that hand-tied thing to drive up the cost. Doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But see, here's a whole little bag of skirts that I've made. I mean, you know, all colors under the rainbow. You know, like I say, you're only limited by your imagination. So all you got to do is buy some heads. You know, here's all kinds of heads you can buy. Just, you know, these are 3/4 ounce, some are half. And then you buy you a bunch of skirt material, whatever you want. You can get it from like Barlow's or Lure Parts Online. That's Lure Parts Online. That's from Barlow's. Get you some kind of skirt making tool. Get you some collars. And just buy you some jig heads and go to town. I mean, it's, you know, it's just so simple. It's not even funny. I just don't understand paying a lot of money for something you don't have to. And this is another thing. There is no better feeling in all of fishing. I mean, yeah, catching a fish is great, but coming up with a lure, your own color schemes, your own size, your own style, and putting it together yourself and taking it to the lake and catching the fish on it, that's as good as it gets. That's why I love my big spinner baits. So, you know, I've said it 100 times. I've caught over 400 big bass on my spinner baits that I made, I designed. I came up with you know, the color schemes, the blade combinations, everything, the weights, all on my own. And I have absolutely stomped a lot of big fish on them. And anybody can do it, you know. Of course, now with forward-facing sonar, it's even easier because, you know, there's something that's going to show you where the fish are. You ain't got to figure out where they are anymore. And I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole right now. But jigs are simple, man. They're simple. They're probably the simplest thing they are. The only thing about jigs you got to watch out for is most of them come with a standard weed guard already made into them. Got about 25 bristles in it. Pretty stiff. I don't like that. I take and cut about half of them off. I'll take a pair of scissors and I'll just almost split them in half, and I will go right down close and lose about half of that stuff. All a weed guard's for, it's just a weed guard. It's just something to keep the stuff, the weed guard from collapsing and letting your hook get hung. That's still pretty stiff. I mean, that, you know, you don't need all of that. So I don't know if the camera will pick it up, but you can see how much I cut off. That's how much I cut off. You don't need all that. It's just, it's not necessary. So I thin my weed guard down. And of course, some people take them and they'll spread them out like that, but it's still stiff. So there's no need in that. Like I say, so I thin out the weed guard a lot. But and then you've got different weights and styles and all that, and that's just kind of personal preference. You know, you got football heads, you got archy heads, you got, you know, just standard heads. And, you know, that's just personal preference. But, you know, like I say, this little jig right here, I mean, I've already taken and thinned out the weed guards on it. You know, it can interfere with a bite, you know, if you've got a big old stiff-ass weed guard and you're trying to stick a fish. So I'll lose that. And again, let's say, here's what I do. This one, I put a rattle on this one. But again, rubber skirt collar. And then on top of the skirt collar, I've got that little white 4-inch cable tie. I don't know if you can see it or not, but I got that clamped down. So if I want to change the skirt, I can. But there's no point in putting wire. I mean, copper wire. I mean, what's the purpose of that? I don't understand what purpose it's supposed to serve, other than making it harder more labor intensive when it's not necessary. But like I say, the sky's the limit when it comes to jigs. The weights, the colors, the head design, the skirts, how thick you want them. You want to make them long, what kind of trailers you put on them. I just like a little twin tail grub on most of mine, unless I'm going to use pork. So, you know, it's whatever you want. Like I say, that one's got a big black one. That's about a 3/4 ounce right there. And, you know, I flip with them too. I mean, I caught some big fish flipping jigs. I caught some big fish just dragging them around, but it's just not my style of fishing. Like I say, will they catch fish? Well, yeah. But it's just, I mean, it's like watching paint dry. I just can't do it hardly. But anyway, they're just some thoughts on making jigs, and how you can save yourself a buttload of money and have some fun catching fish on lures that you made yourself. Which, like I say, that's as good as it gets. I make up a lot of jigs, a lot of skirts in advance. This is a skirt box. A lot of spinnerbait skirts, mostly in here. But like I say, there's some skirts I can use on jigs too if I want to. Green, brown. This is the old living rubber material. This is what it was in the beginning. Well, I'm not going to say in the beginning, because in the beginning, let's see if I can find that little bag right quick. I know what, here it is. This was the beginning of skirts. Old plastic skirts, like used to come on a hula popper or a snagless Sally. That crap right there, just plastic. That was the beginning. So, like I said, jigs aren't that mysterious. A lot of people would want to have you believe that they are, but I mean, it's a freaking lead head with a wire guard on it and a hook, a skirt, and some kind of trailer. That's it. You know, it's not rocket science. And also, what you want to do, if you can, you could use a jig. If you got a jig head that's got the line tie across like that, you can make a chatterbait if you want to. Real simple. So anyway, let me go in and put all this together and post it. Oh yeah, and this is a jig just like the one I told you I caught a 9-pounder on, 9.2, 9.3, something like that. Got a little silver glitter in it, and a little glimmer, and a little white twin-tail trailer that's pretty dirty from laying around in the boat. It's also got rattles, but yeah, I made that and caught a 9.3 on it. So I love catching fish on lures that I make or modify, but you can do it too. It ain't hard.